Welcome back to Entertainment Banter. My name is Joel,
And I'm Matt.
and I think today we're going to talk about Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's a good topic today.
Absolutely. Just so you guys know, Spider-Man: Homecoming is in theaters now. We haven't quite seen it yet. I think it starts tonight, right? You said Joel?
Today, I
Tonight?
think today. I think it came
Today.
out
Okay.
last night. Yeah, it's playing. Let's say
Okay.
that.
We'll say it's playing.
Now playing.
So yeah, now playing. So what prompted our discussion for today was we were watching the trailers, and we noticed something that wasn't very traditional to Spider-Man. So I don't know if you want to talk about it now or if we want to build up to it.
Well, we're going to talk about his costume. That's what we're really going to talk about, right? Is that what we're getting
I
into?
thought it was more than his costume.
You think so? Or about him as a personality?
It implied more than his costume, but
All right,
let's
well,
go ahead.
well, let's go back in time.
All right,
Back to
let's
the
do that.
60s when Spider-Man was first created by Steve Ditko and Stan Lee. You like that? I put Ditko first.
You did do that first. I saw that.
So he was created in the 60s. Would you say Spider-Man is one of the original comics? One of the original Marvel characters, maybe?
He's definitely one of the most classic, iconic. I mean, besides X-Men, obviously. Stan Lee worked on a lot, so I mean, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man.
I think Spider-Man was the most relatable. Everyone wanted to be, like, everyone saw themselves as this nerdy kid that grew up in high school or any kind of school that just got picked on, was the nerd. And then,
Well, it's interesting that you say that because in the 60s, they actually portrayed Peter Parker, I should say, as he was a cool dude. Like, learning was cool in a way for Peter Parker. I mean, yes, he was a scientist and he knew a lot of stuff, but he never was portrayed as a nerd, I
I
thought.
thought it was a nerd. Like, I watched the old, I mean, not watch. Yeah, there was the
Well,
old cartoon, the
there was the old
1960s
60s.
cartoon.
That's right, the old 60s cartoon. And,
You say
I mean, in the
50s?
comics.
Wasn't 50s, buddy.
No, I said 60s.
Okay.
Yeah, no, in the 60s cartoon, he was a suave guy. He was pretty chill.
I don't remember that. I mean, one of the cartoons I really remember is the Fox cartoon. When when X-Men
Yes.
cartoon. Oh my God, they're the best cartoons.
Yeah.
They were the
Well,
best.
even in that one, that was the 90s, right?
Yeah, he was
when
more.
that came out.
He was in college at that time. They were playing him as a college student.
Right, but even as a college student, yeah, he was a little homely, but he wasn't a complete nerd. He still had a backbone as Peter Parker, too.
No, because Flash Thompson was always the character that picked on him.
He did pick on him, but it wasn't, I never got the feeling like, it wasn't like Superman, Clark Kent, you know what I mean? It wasn't like clumsy me.
Yeah,
He still had a backbone.
Sort of. Well, they portrayed him as this character that anyone can relate to. That's how they kind of portrayed him, like the everyday
That's
guy,
right.
everyday student.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden he gets these powers, and he's torn between great responsibility, Uncle Ben, blah blah blah. And
in
everyone,
the 90s show, he
like,
really looks after his Aunt May.
Yeah, and you feel
that.
like everyone can relate to him. So
Yeah.
that's why Spider-Man, I feel, has taken off the most. Like, it's one of the most iconic Marvel characters.
It relates to children too because each generation is different. But I've noticed more and more that the modern day Peter Parker / Spider-Man tends to be like a junior high kind of mentality, whereas in the past, like, it was a college student. Because I think even in the 60s, he was towards the end of high school, getting into college. This 90s show, he was in college. But I feel like with Miles Morris and all these other Spider-Man, even the Ultimate Spider-Mans, he was definitely like younger Peter Parker. Doesn't it seem that way?
Yeah.
Leading into the Marvel movies.
Well, when you lead into the Marvel movies, you got Tobey Maguire, who played the original with Sam Raimi's Vision, and that was college Peter.
Yes.
And then you got Mark Webb's Spider-Man reboot. Don't know why. But you got Andrew Garfield, who I thought was a way better pick than Tobey Maguire.
Right.
He then portrayed him as, it was high school, I think, wasn't it? It was high school.
It was high school.
I mean, it was high school in Tobey Maguire's too, but you didn't see high school for that long. Like, they graduated right away.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, and I feel like with the Avengers movies, or I should say, what is that, Civil War, that's when it seems younger, right?
He seems a
Earlier
lot
in high
younger.
school.
I've already been hearing reviews that they finally got Spider-Man right. So I'm hoping. I mean, in a sense, I feel like they never got it wrong. There are many different types of Spider-Mans out there. There's the Amazing Spider-Man, the Wonderful Spider-Man, the sensational Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man. There's
Right.
all these different Spider-Man out there. So I'm not saying that the Tobey Maguires were wrong. I mean, the third movie was horrendous.
Right. Yes.
And then Andrew Garfield's I thought was a little better because I liked his smart-ass attitude as Spider-Man.
Right.
And now they have this younger Spider-Man, so hopefully they did get a little better with it. I feel like it's a little bit too late to get the Spider-Man I wanted in the universe,
Yeah.
but he's being introduced properly, I think.
Well, it's nice that I will say the positive thing about this is they're introducing this Spider-Man into the Marvel Cinematic Universe that has been created, from this, since Captain America, which I appreciate because in a way it's a fresh reboot. It's the Spider-Man of this world,
Mm-hmm.
and doing so, I think it opens up a whole new opportunity for Spider-Man, which is something I am personally excited about.
You're excited. I'm excited. I just like Spider-Man. I like the MCU. We always talk about the MCU.
I know we do.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, let's get back to the subject matter of this discussion, which is in the trailer for this homecoming of Spider-Man, we noticed something that was out of character to Peter Parker, and it goes back to the whole idea of science being cool, wanting kids to learn more. And I feel like Peter Parker in the 60s was that person, like, hey, look, it's cool to be intelligent, it's cool to study things, it's cool to be smart. Because in the 60s, obviously, Peter Parker created a lot of his gear, his gadgets. Yes, he got bit by a radioactive spider, but that just gave him the wall crawling skills. Everything else was still maybe some strengths, but everything else was him. Like, he created his web shooters, he created his little flashlight or whatever, his belt flashlight. He created all of his scientific stuff himself.
All his gadgets.
All his gadgets. And he also, his brain power is actually what helps solve a lot of his cases, too. His scientific research. He was always into the lab, studying samples and whatnot. And that's what made that 60s Peter Parker cool. So flash forwarding to this modern age of the cinematic universe of Marvel and Spider-Man Homecoming, in the trailer, we noticed that this particular Spider-Man, he got a lot of tech from Tony Stark.
He did.
Now, remind me, in Civil War, when he meets Peter, he shows him a quick video of Spider-Man swinging around and taking care of bad guys. So it does imply that Peter did invent some tech, but we were going to discuss that, like, how much of the tech that Spider-Man is using in Homecoming is his own, or if, in fact, now it's tainted because we're under the impression that Tony Stark is, like, financing his whole, superhero career.
Oh, yeah, his vigilante.
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse Batman. Tony Stark just pays for all the gear and lets the kid do all the work.
Well, here's what my take on it is. This is how I feel about it. So, we're looking at Spider-Man being introduced into the MCU really late on. In the comics, Spider-Man was established, joins the Avengers, but, Spider-Man always had this, he clinged to Tony Stark because their minds were intelligent people.
Right. He always admired Tony Stark.
Of course, he always admired him. He's admired him through his whole career. Some of the comics actually have them interact a lot more. The newer ones are a lot more now, saying that he idolizes Tony, and that's what this movie's based off of. That he idolizes him. He's always talked about. I'm sure we're going to learn more about it in the movie. Hopefully, who knows?
Yeah.
It looks like Tony's playing a father figure. People actually think Tony's going to die in this movie. I doubt it. because he's going to play
I
the
would be
role
really
as
surprised.
Uncle Ben.
I doubt that.
I doubt that too. That was someone's speculation.
You can't have the Infinity War without Iron Man.
You gotta have Iron Man.
Yeah, that just seems ludicrous.
So now my take is that Peter in this movie is a young kid, and he didn't create all of his. I don't think he created most of his tech because he got it from Tony. The web slinging and all that he got. But if you notice when he's doing that in the video, like Tony showed him, he's in his pajamas that he made in the wrestling. Remember?
Right.
Before he actually made his real costume. It's more believable that Tony gave him the costume because, come on, this kid made this nice costume in the other movies. Like, really?
Right.
Like, where'd you get that skill from? Did the spider give that to you as well? So it's a little more believable, but I feel like they're taking two different Spider-Mans and combining them for this Peter Parker. Because Peter didn't really have that many friends. The friends that Peter has in this movie, it looks like, they're Miles' friends.
Yes, I was going to say that too.
So I feel like they're taking both Spider-Mans and putting them into one to make it work. So it's Peter Parker we're seeing because everybody wants to see Peter Parker, but it's like Miles' life.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
I can see that. Yep, absolutely. I would agree to that. It's interesting. And that goes back to what I was saying with the whole younger generation attachment to this particular Spider-Man. Miles Morris is a very young kid, obviously, with a lot of powers. A lot more powers than Peter Parker ever did have, because Miles has the capability of disappearing. He has the capability of stinging people. Yeah, he can disappear. He can blend into his environment.
They're not going to do that with this. Hopefully, probably not.
But you're right. Like, the friend that he has is very similar to the friend that Miles has in the first couple comics of Ultimate Spider-Man.
And I'd be curious if that was Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane in this movie. I don't know if they are.
Yeah, and it could be possible that it's not either one of them. It could just be some add-on.
Well, he had many girlfriends. There's many girlfriends Peter had. And they easily can throw another one in the mix. I mean, of course, Gwen Stacy is a big one, and so is Mary Jane. Those are huge ones, but they've been overplayed, and I think Marvel wants to stay away from that.
Yeah.
But to me, that's who Peter is. Honestly, I'm going to go on a tangent here because it kind of annoys me. Because what I wanted to see in Civil War, a lot of the crazy moments in Civil War was Spider-Man choosing sides.
Yes.
In this Civil War we had, it was kind of... I don't like the fact they called it Civil War because... they're trying to rush it. And
yes,
Peter didn't choose sides. He just went to Tony Stark. He didn't choose Captain America's side. Maybe we're going to see more, pulling out. Maybe he's going to start going to Captain America's side anyway, because we're still separated in theory right now.
Right.
So who knows? But one of the things that drew me to that comic is that, like, one of the first comics, Spider-Man wanted to agree with Iron Man. He swung down to a conference, and he revealed himself as Peter Parker. College professor Peter Parker. But then through the comic, he starts going like, I don't know if Iron Man has the right way about this. So he eventually switches to Captain America's side.
Right.
So it's like a huge pull back and forth. Now, Peter always had this lingering in his mind of like, am I doing the right thing? Always, am I doing the right thing? Because remember what his uncle said, with great power comes great responsibility. Now, he's always struggling with himself within. There's always those moments like when he saved Gwen Stacy. Andrew Garfield portrayed that scene really well when he tried to save her reaching with the web and you saw it slowly reaching for her. Now, in the movie, you hear a big smack on the ground and it's her head hitting the ground. But how it happened, did her neck get snapped too?
Right.
Because like in the comics, it's Sam Raimi did it with Mary Jane. But in the comics, he has to rescue the people or rescue Gwen Stacy, and he tries to do both. And he does the web, and he catches Gwen Stacy, but he saves the people, and they, the trolley, whatever, and he puts them aside, and then he goes down to Gwen. But then the struggling he deals with is the fact that did the fall kill her? Did his web impact kill her from snapping her neck, or did the Green Goblin just snap her neck and throw her? He never knows.
Right.
He never knows. And those are things that create Peter for who he is. And that's what created his struggle in Civil War as well, because he's always struggling like which direction to go. He's always trying to figure out if this is the right path. He wants to make the right path.
Right.
I don't know if we're gonna. I don't know if we're gonna get that with
No, and
Thomas
I don't think
Hollandsworth.
you will. I don't think you will, and I think unfortunately for you, I understand it's.
That's why I like. That's why I like Spider-Man. Like his struggles.
Of course, no, absolutely, and it's an amazing character and it's an amazing struggle to watch and go through. The problem is, our introduction to Spider-Man wasn't necessarily for Spider-Man's benefit. It was more for the Avengers universe benefit, and I feel like with the movie makers at the time, their goal was, Thanos. Their goal is to get the Infinity War going, and they even admitted that they rushed Civil War because they just knew that they had to have a conflict leading up to Infinity Wars, and so they openly admitted and said that the reason why we need to, in order to bring heroes together, they have to be torn apart first, and that's why they said they just created Civil War. It wasn't to honor Civil War. It wasn't to introduce Spider-Man. It was more about starting Infinity Wars with a broken group of heroes, and there's a reason for them to come together. And unfortunately, something like Peter Parker, the story of his coming of age into the universe, was short-lived and slightly ignored only because they just want to introduce him so he can get on board for later. So that, in my opinion, is why Civil War was rushed, and Peter Parker was and wasn't really ignored, but they basically gave you the foundations of him and then said, okay, now you know who he is. You'll see him more later.
Yeah, they took the opportunity to bring him in because Sony finally wanted to play ball.
Yeah.
Which is
I
awesome.
agree with you.
And I like the idea with more characters.
Absolutely. I mean, secretly in my mind, too, I don't want to get off subject here because we do that a lot, but I would love to see, I know it won't happen, but I would love to see Daredevil from the Netflix original show just make a cameo or guest appearance. So those characters.
Should. They're going to do the Defenders, and I feel like the Defenders will be in Infinity Wars. Because now you're going to have all these characters, whether or not they have a bit part or a bigger part, they should be in it. There's no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah, I think it'd be an awesome homage to them. Because if you can have Sam Jackson do guest appearances on S.H.I.E.L.D., I mean, I think you should be able to give these guys a break, even if they're like just in Hell's Kitchen looking up in the sky as something explodes, just for a quick second. I think it'd be pretty cool. But,
me too, and they definitely can do that. And did you see that they have the Inhumans TV show coming out?
Yes.
I thought that was going to be a movie. Now it's a TV show?
Oh, that's a good point.
It was supposed to be a movie after the Infinity Wars, I thought.
It was supposed to be a movie. You're right. Maybe it got put on hold for something else.
I don't know.
That's interesting. That's a good point. Well, with Spider-Man Homecoming, maybe we'll get more opportunity to see those things that you were talking about. I really do hope that we see. The problem with Hollywood is they get greedy. They'll do a really good movie to introduce something, and then instead of building on that, they kind of just rush it. And it's a double-edged sword because how many times can you reboot a character in a decade? Like September 11th happened in 2001, and that I remember that clearly because that was there was a poster of Spider-Man that had the Twin Towers in his eye, and they quickly removed it and then just replaced it with the regular eye.
You also do know they had a commercial, a trailer for it.
There was a teaser trailer. I still have
with
it.
a helicopter running into the two towers. Well, not into the two towers, but between them into the web.
Into the web, that's right. And I thought that was one of the coolest things. And unfortunately, September 11th happened, and they quickly pulled all that stuff. But that's when Spider-Man hit the cinema. And since then, we've had 3 movies with
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. And then we had the 2 with Sam.
Andrew Garfield, foo.
Andrew, sorry. Sam is another Garfield that I know. Garfield, right? Andrew Garfield. And then now we have this guy, which I unfortunately can't remember his name, but
Tom Hollandsworth.
Thank you. But he's clearly already shooting in the universe of Thanos. So
he is. They already started the film shoot on that, and you've seen the video with Chris Pratt, Robert Downey Jr., and
That's right.
yeah, it
All
should
them
be good.
surrounding.
I'm glad they're doing it for our viewers' sake, just for timeline's sake in the comic books. Infinity Wars actually occurs many years before Civil War.
Right.
People die in Infinity Wars. Spider-Man actually lost his leg in the Infinity Wars. Matter of fact, I don't even think the Infinity Wars existed in the same timeline with Civil War. I think they're.
That's possible.
I think the Infinity Wars happened and the comics went to the end and they rebooted a lot of them because Marvel does that all the time. They reboot comics, which
Constantly.
is why I'm not bothered by the fact Spider-Man's been rebooted multiple times because Marvel reinvents the wheel every other month. It seems like.
No, that's actually true, and that's across the board lately. The reinvention of the wheel is a constant thing now. It used to be amazing that you would have a number one issue, and now it seems like every year there's a new number one issue of the same character.
Yep.
It maybe lasts 2 or 3 years, but that's it.
I think we should write this down actually right now because I just thought of it. What we should talk about in the future. I'm sure people would love to hear about this too. Captain America being a Hydra agent.
Yeah.
My little sister wrote a whole thing on it. How it's very, it's not good. It's not good that they did that because it demolishes the character who he is.
100%.
Destroyed the character.
Yeah, you're right. I want to talk about that too.
What he stood for, and now they're using his plot point to get viewers to watch it. They better do something to twist it back that he got brainwashed or something because right now it's tarnishing the character and it's not good.
Well, that's the world we're living in now. Everyone hates the hero. We have basically gone from the Boy Scout all the way down to the villains were the victims, and now the villains are the heroes, and now the heroes are pure evil. And I actually think that is a political thing. I think there's a lot more to it than that, than just people just wanting to see the bad guy's side of the story. I think now it's more of a political statement, and I don't want to get into it right now, but it just seems to me like you can't have good people anymore. You gotta even look at the media. Anything that's going on in the media, it's like they're always looking for that bad thing that someone did. They don't.
It sells.
I don't know. Mow their lawn.
It's
in
true.
A timely fashion.
Totally off topic, and you already don't want to do this, but Breaking Bad, you follow Walter White through his life, and you start off as this character who's interested, in meth making, and you think he's the good guy. When you finish the series, you realize he was the bad guy the entire time.
Yep.
And so you follow him, which makes really interesting storytelling.
Yes. Yeah, no, there's no question. Sopranos, everybody likes to watch the bad guys, but it's when for example, I didn't see the movie. I have no desire to see it because Michael Bay has just ruined them for me. But Transformers, all the trailers imply that, crime is now evil. It's just, that's what I'm saying. They're just all about destroying people's heroes lately, and I don't understand why. I mean, I get it. It's interesting to see once maybe, or wonder what if. There's comics with Star Wars where what if Luke Skywalker went to the dark side?
I've seen that. He gets all.
You know what I mean? It's an interesting idea, but the thing is, he didn't do that. And I just, after a certain point, we know what happens. If Peter Parker turns out to be a bad guy, okay, then we know that he's going to kill people and that he's going to rob banks.
They did it. The Fox cartoon did a really good thing on that. They did an alternate universe. What if Ben Parker did not die? And it was really interesting, and it showed Peter Parker being a famous celebrity, rich beyond, as rich as Iron Man, and all this jazz. And he was doing TV work and all that, and he was still wearing the Spider-Man costume. He had it made, and he was still doing all that, but he wasn't rescuing people. He wasn't saving people. He was just a showboat. He was almost like he was like a younger Tony Stark. At that point.
Well, if anybody's interested, one of my favorite story arcs of all time is the Spider-Universe, or Multiverse, excuse me.
Yeah.
It came out a couple years ago, and that story arc was fantastic. It was fun because it introduced all these different Spider-Men from all multiple multiverses.
Is that also the Pig Spider-Man too?
They did have the Pig Spider-Man, yes. But it was great because you get to see all of those different Spider-Mans. And getting back to what you were saying, is one of them is very similar to the Batman story too. What if Dr. Wayne survived and Bruce was killed, and that's Ben Parker became Spider-Man. You know, all sorts of interesting things. So yeah, it's very cool to go back and look at those things. But getting back to the subject matter of the heroes becoming villains is, yeah, I think it's a terrible move. I think it leads you to a quick dead end because, okay, great. So I mean, as a writer, what's the fucking point of that? Because now you're saying, okay, yeah, he raped her. Yeah, he killed him. Yeah, okay, great. So now we know that he's bad. So you've written yourself into a hole because you know what I mean? Like, oh, great, he got the money. Who cares? You know, like at some point, you're just going to stop caring because you know, oh yeah, he did the bad thing. Whereas
he did the hero, bad thing.
You know, with the hero, you don't know if the hero is going to make it. You don't know if the hero is going to save everyone. You don't know if you are caught between a choice, which person are you going to save? A villain doesn't care. A villain would just, if two people are hanging off a cliff, a villain would just walk away. But if you only had time to save one, which one would you save? That's where the drama comes in. And I think Hollywood not Hollywood, but the idea of turning heroes into villains is a terrible idea because at some point it'll get really old. Yeah, it'll be a big flash of light for a second. Everyone's going, oh my God, it's so cool. Oh, what a great idea. And then after that light goes out, you just realize, oh yeah, there's nothing to it. There's no substance whatsoever.
I honestly think it's just a attention grabber to get you pulled into it and go, wait, Captain America's Hydra? Wait, no, he's not. And then you start reading it.
Unfortunately, I would disagree with that because if you look in the past decade, more and more stories are about the underdogs. More and more stories about. I mean, take Guardians of the Galaxy.
People love the underdogs.
Lovable characters, yeah, but there's a difference. Lovable characters,
sort of.
But
I never liked Guardians. This way.
Han Solo, right?
Sure.
When we meet Han Solo, he's shooting people, he's smuggling, he's a bad guy. The whole point of Star Wars in his story arc is he runs into these characters and they make him a better person. He changes his ways and becomes good. Like
Vegeta.
Yes, like Vegeta. But the point I'm making is, if you don't have any growth, then what's the point? Han Solo is going to be a bland character. If he just continues smuggling and backstabbing people, it's like people will be like, all right, we're not hanging around you anymore. Like imagine Lando in Cloud City, like he backstabbed Han Solo. Like imagine wherever you go. Like I'm not going to deal with Lando. He always backstabs people. Like,
well, don't you think that nowadays we're trying to get more characters to be more real? Because there's no black and white. It's not black and white. It's all gray. And you don't know, like, from your point of view and how the cinema's filming it, yes, you can make anyone look bad. I can make you look bad. But then, like, they're trying to make it more like a real, like, you don't know what they went through to make those decisions in the first place.
I get that. I think there's a time and place for those types of stories.
Of course.
Because, like, what you were talking about, you made me think of a lot of things. I actually lost my train of thought because I thought of, like, 5 things at once.
No, I know. I hear you. And we're
okay. We're gonna wrap it up.
We're getting to the end, buddy.
Let's look at Wonder Woman. Let's give that an example, okay?
I haven't even seen that movie. You seen it?
I haven't either. That's not the point.
DC.
No. That's not the point. The point is,
it's always the point.
What do little girls have to look up to? Like look at Okay, you know what? I'll give you an example. All right, whether you agree with me or not, whether you like it or not, I'm just gonna say it. I'm a man. You can call me sexist, but we're in the day and age of. Yeah, we're in the day and age now where the heroine is in charge. We've got Hunger Games. The girl is saving the day.
Yep.
We've got Divergence. We got the girl saving the day.
Divergence.
We have Star Wars. There's a girl, Rey, saving the day.
Holy shit!
It's the era of girls being heroes.
It's gonna be really hard to be a white male in this country soon.
Yeah, but my point is, what happens if you don't have that heroine that. What do little girls look up to is what I'm saying. The reason why we're having it now is it's an explosion because people are saying, mostly women, finally, there's something that my little girl can go see or my little girl can go look up to. Now you go and you take those heroes and you turn them into villains 30 years from now. Those girls are going to be upset. Like, why did you do that to my lovable hero?
Wonder Woman's going to be on the Red Skull. No, wait. Wonder Woman. Who's the villain? I don't even know.
Well, there's the God of War is one of them for Wonder Woman, but Red Skull is a villain.
Red Skull's
But my
a villain
point is,
in Marvel, but anyways.
but you understand what I'm saying, though, right? Like, we build these heroes up just to 30 years later, tear them down? It's stupid. You gotta have something
build
to
them
look forward
up just to watch them fall.
Yes, but heroes don't fall; they get back up. And my point is, there's a terrible message being sent. Yeah, there's a terrible message being sent when you destroy a hero. How did we get on this? We're supposed to be talking about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
We got more to talk about.
Do we?
Until next time.
We can't.
Next time, right?
Well, we're gonna do another one. We're gonna do another one of these after you watch the movie.
Oh yeah, Homecoming.
I figured I will go watch the movie soon. Yeah. I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you? And then we gotta do Logan.
Logan, I know.
I'm sure people want to hear us talk about Logan.
Can you believe that? Guardians 2. I have not seen that yet. So, all right. Well, thank you for listening to Entertainment Banter.
Yeah, I mean, should we do a final thought on that, or just we're gonna come back to this?
Go. You do your final thought. We can always start a new one next time.
I think no matter what we say, and no matter what we see of Spider-Man, no matter where he goes from here on out, I think Spider-Man is in good hands.
Yes, absolutely. That
and that's
I agree
all
with.
state stands.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. So, I think it's good. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. With that being said,
I'm Matt.
And I'm done.
If you like that, stay tuned for the next one.